does Marcellus Wallace look like?
Woo!
What country you from?
Woo! Woo!
Ain't no country I ever heard of. They speak English and
Woo! Woo!
English, motherfucker. Do you speak it?
Yes.
Then you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Describe what Marcellus Wallace looks like.
Woo!
What again? Say
Woo!
again. I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say
Woo!
one more goddamn time.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of Speed Check. My name is Eric, and today we are going to be reviewing this episode, the January 11th episode of WWE's Monday Night Raw. After last week's episode, I seriously considered skipping this Raw. I considered stopping doing Speed Check for Raw episodes, but this is a true fact. After last week, we got more subscribers from the Raw episode, and that was our highest viewed Speed Check. So it seems that my misery and my pain is like blood to you people, and you are all hungry sharks. So here's the feeding frenzy. Let's see if this episode of Raw was better or worse than last week's. And honestly, it's going to be very hard to be worse than last week's. Last week, we had 3 hours of legends making useless cameos, taking screen time away from current wrestlers, and in the case of Goldberg, actually burying talent. And this week, we are welcomed by the sight of Triple H in the very first segment. They might not have advertised this, but I feel like we're watching Legends Night Part 2. And here is this episode's obligatory hatred for crowd noises added digitally. Now, I've never been a big fan of Randy Orton or Triple H. They just don't wrestle my style. I'm not like a big fan over them, but I will acknowledge they have done a lot of things for professional wrestling in the past, and they continue to do so. And I'm sure Triple H will continue to do so in the future. But I'll give them this. They have amazing chemistry in the ring together when they're cutting promos. This was a great promo from them. I enjoyed it. That said, and I'm going to speak about this throughout the entire episode, I can't justify how much screen time Randy Orton is getting. When you have talent who don't even appear on this episode, like Cedric Alexander, Ricochet, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, you have all these people who don't make it on the show, but we're going to see Randy Orton throughout this entire episode so many times. It's clear to see that they put a lot of effort into booking Randy Orton and his storylines, but storylines like Retribution, if you tell me there's any effort in Retribution storyline, I'm going to call you a liar. Okay, the first time we heard the whole Triple H's balls are in Stephanie's purse thing, that was kind of cool. The 10th time we heard it, it lost its charm. We've heard it at least 576 times now. We can stop using that line, make up new material. Can we just acknowledge, it is very weird that Charlotte Flair acknowledges that Lacey Evans is not the first woman to hit on her dad in front of her. Like, I know he's the nature boy, but what kind of thoughts is he attracting? I guess when Ric Flair is your dad, you are used to seeing women line up for a ride on Space Mountain. Just a reminder for folks, Lacey Evans' gimmick was that she was a strong, independent woman who was stuck in the 40s. And now she's about to feud with Charlotte Flair, all because she couldn't help but flirt with the Hall of Famer, most likely to both spread and catch syphilis in the same night. The first segment involved Triple H and Randy Orton, and it also involved Ric Flair a little bit. The second segment was focused around Ric Flair. I'm willing to bet Batista is somewhere in the Thunderdome, just standing perfectly still, so still you can't even see him. And if that's true, we've got ourselves an Evolution flush here. In all seriousness, that is 2 opening segments that revolve around legends of the past. Like, if the next segment is about a legend, it better be about Tatanka, because that is the only legend I will accept being mentioned anymore in WWE. I just want to take a moment to say that we here at the West Coast Pop are very happy to hear that Drew McIntyre is asymptomatic. He looks like a very healthy guy. He doesn't look like he has any pre-existing conditions. So here's hoping he has a speedy recovery. And I'll be sure to wear your mask, folks. This pandemic is still ongoing. and we all have to do our part to stop it. And out comes Ric Flair looking like Bob Barker. I swear, if they're gonna make us watch Legends Night Part 2, Carlito better make an appearance tonight. I'm pretty sure Charlotte Flair just called Lacey Evans a hooker. Do you guys remember when Lacey Evans' gimmick was that she was an American hero / the best mom ever? You have to absolutely love this referee just looking blindly into the sky as Ric Flair sweeps the leg. Speaking of which, John Morrison is an absolute gift to comedy. Okay, can somebody please explain to me who is feuding with who? Because last week Elias was fighting AJ, and then I thought Jeff was fighting Lashley, and I don't know who is fighting who anymore. This is crazy. It's almost as if Raw has no structure, no plan, no preparation. It's as if they're doing things on the fly, and I can't accept that. This is the longest episodic weekly television show. They can't be doing things on the fly. Okay, so I hope you guys remember I gave a little rant on the very first episode about the problem with putting a bad person next to a good person. It makes the good person look less good. That is exactly my problem with Jackson Riker being with Elias. So I actually used to have hope for Jackson Riker before his Twitter stuff came out. I actually thought this guy could do something for wrestling. I thought he could be a star. But once that Twitter stuff came out, I immediately stopped caring about him. I did not want to watch him wrestle. And as a result, the Forgotten Sons were split up. So I don't think it makes sense at all as to why Cutler and Blake are the ones being punished by being Corbin's lackeys. Meanwhile, Riker is for some reason next to one of the hottest Raw stars in the modern era. I don't understand how that makes sense at all. And even more, this makes me want to watch Elias less. I don't want to root for Riker. I don't want to hate him as a heel. I don't want to watch him. Vince McMahon clearly does not care about ethics. It's a shame to see that he will just put whoever he wants together with whoever and not care about the ethics of it. Even more, to continue off that last point, I know this is going to contradict what I've said so far, and it's going to contradict what I've said throughout this entire episode, because the biggest problem with this episode is the same problem that's been plaguing Raw the entire time. It's that they care too much about the past and they don't want to book for the future. But I know Jeff Hardy is a legend. I know that Riker is a current talent, but I did not need, nor did I want to see Jackson Riker beat Jeff Hardy in a match. I did not want to see that. I don't care for Riker. If anything, I would have preferred Elias to beat Jeff Hardy. I did not care for Riker at all. Something that also doesn't make sense at all is the pre-match promo Riker gives. He's saying that he's going to destroy Jeff Hardy. He's going to beat him and just hurt him. And the match ends in a roll-up. Like, if that's what he calls destruction, I'd hate to see what he calls mayhem. I know you guys can't see it in the picture, but either Lacey Evans or Charlotte Flair stain the ring with their body tan spray, and we're gonna find out who it is next week based on whether or not Ric Flair has any stains on his pants. I'll give credit where credit is due. I think this was a great spot. I've never seen this spot done in professional wrestling. This was very good, and it was done. Keith Lee's reaction was so nice, so genuine. I thought it was a real spot. I thought he actually did it. So this was a creative spot. I'll give them props. Good job. So this match was better than a lot of WWE main roster tag matches, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I was on my phone texting you like for most of this match, because just like the biggest problem with main roster tag team matches is that they are all cut and paste. They all start off with the faces beating up the heels reverse and they start beating up the faces do a hot tag, and then that's where the match starts. The match doesn't start until that hot tag happens. And every now and then you have some teams who manage to avoid this. The New Day, the Usos, the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, and the Street Profits, the Viking Raiders, all these teams, they managed to have matches without doing that. But when every tag team match is the same formula, it's not worth watching, is it? If AEW's biggest problem is the women's division, WWE's biggest problem is without a doubt the tag team division. I have to give the Raw team credit because ever since Keith Lee has been called up, they have successfully managed to make him look physically strong. And I'm not talking like how Braun Strowman was cartoony strong, like he could rip down stages and pull trucks. Like Keith Lee does some very strong things in his matches, and I appreciate that. He looks realistically strong, and he's a powerhouse. So I'm glad they treat him as such, and they give him spots that demonstrate that. And just like that, it's official, folks. Triple H versus Randy Orton in the main event tonight. Meanwhile, Angel Garza continues to try out his new John Cena gimmick because we cannot see him at all on this episode. Keith Lee and Sheamus performing double duty. I can't say I hate this. I like this. I like watching Keith Lee wrestle, and for the first time in his singles career, I like Sheamus. In addition, after last week, they definitely owe Keith Lee some star power. So I'm okay with this. I like this idea of Keith Lee and Sheamus going twice in one night. I dig it. I like it more than Jeff Hardy going twice. That one I don't think made sense or was worth it. Listening to Keith Lee do his trash talk is honestly one of the biggest reasons I am excited for his heel turn. He really knows how to talk trash, and it shows. He's gonna be a great heel. He's not gonna be a standard powerhouse heel. He's gonna be entertaining. I have faith in him. I'm sorry, Samoa Joe, but if I'm gonna pick on one commentator, I have to pick on them all. Joe made a comment saying, "We've seen what Keith Lee did to this corner already." Even though that was entirely the wrong corner, Joe, you've been hanging around Matt Riddle too long because you are catching a second-hand high. I have to give points to Keith Lee, not for his performance, but for the fact that he legitimately was getting his head bounced against the canvas. Did you guys see that? I mean, my gosh, Sheamus think he's Steph Curry over here dribbling Lee's head into the ring? And just to give some credibility to how tough Lee is, if you've seen Gargano and Ciampa fight a match, then you know that the ring only has a thin layer of padding, like very thin, that basically does nothing. And underneath that is wood. So Keith Lee just has his head bouncing against wood, just harder than I think any wrestler should ever have to hit the mat. I can admit it. This moment was actually pretty cool. This melted my cold heart. I like this moment. If there's one thing that Vince McMahon knows how to do, it's run a joke into the ground, and he has definitely ruined the bro joke of Matt. I gotta give it to Xavier. That's pretty cool. So from now on, I'm going to try my hardest not to make fun of Retribution. I think their idea, their gimmick, everything about them is stupid. From their names, from their masks, to everything about them, every single thing. But I have 150% respect for them. Each and every one of them is pouring their hearts into this gimmick. They are trying to make it work. You can see that. There's no half-assing this. So if this goes over, which I hope it does, it is not because of anyone other than themselves. I am rooting for them. That said, I find myself in a very strange position right now, because if you told me that Dominik Dijakovic defeated Xavier Woods, I'd say, okay, that's fair. But when you say T-Bar defeated Xavier Woods, then I want to RKO a baby. Honestly, this is my favorite thing that Retribution has done so far, because everyone in this group looked so cohesive. Mustafa looked like a real leader, and the match between Xavier Woods and Mr. T was a nice match. It was a very good match. My only regret about this segment is that we have seen Keith Lee, Sheamus, Jeff Hardy work double duty. We've already seen multiple segments, too many segments already, and we're not even close to being done from Randy Orton and Triple H. And as the show goes on, we're gonna give too much time to Goldberg. So we couldn't have taken time from any of those to give Mustafa a quick promo, or even to give Ricochet a chance to attack Retribution. There was a lot left on the table here for this segment. in what I think was Retribution's best segment. So, a quick recap in case you missed Monday Night Raw last week. The heel of this feud, Matt, he tapped out clean to Bobby Lashley. However, instead of fessing up like a man and telling the referee that he tapped, he somehow managed to earn a title shot, even though everyone around the world saw him cheat. This is the Bobby Lashley I've wanted to see since his return. I really like this performance from Lashley. I don't think there was anything wrong in what he did tonight. I just wish he showed us this sooner. And I'm not going to give him, he's not back in my good graces yet. I'm not going to say I'm a fan of his because he's hurt me way too many times for that. He's broken my heart way too many times for me to forgive him. So I'm going to throw down an unofficial challenge. Bobby Lashley can't see this challenge, so he's never gonna react to it, but I'm giving him until WrestleMania. He has until WrestleMania this year to do 3 more good things. All he has to do by WrestleMania, he has 4 months to do 3 good performances in WWE. They could even be in the same night. I don't care. I refuse to trust Bobby Lashley. I refuse to believe this wasn't a fluke. So that's how much I don't trust Lashley being good today. I want him to be good. I want him to be great. I want him to be a champion. I really do. And he is a champion right now, but I want him to be a champion that matters. I don't want him to just be known as the guy who did that cringy sister angle and who had that terrible feud with Rusev. I really want him to matter. The story of Matt being a heel continues as he challenges a man 13 years older than him to a match after he loses fairly and cleanly to the rightful champion. If you're keeping track tonight, Matt is the 4th person to have to work double duty tonight after Jeff Hardy, Keith Lee, and Sheamus. I don't necessarily hate those last 3 because after last week, Keith Lee needs as much screen time as he can get. He deserves more screen time after what happened last week, and I think this made him look absolutely strong. So that was great booking. Matt Riddle's case, iffy. I'm iffy on that one. I don't hate it, but at the same time, what did it achieve for him? Because he didn't even win against MVP. I guess this just gives him an excuse to fight them again, but I don't know. I don't hate it, but it was a weird choice. So this is just a pet peeve of mine when it comes to WWE. I know that Raw and SmackDown are obviously under the same company. I get that. But we were told when SmackDown became its own brand again, we were told that they were at war with Raw, that they were 2 separate teams. They were trying to fight for ratings. So can someone explain to me, when they push that narrative, for example, at Survivor Series, when it's always red versus blue, at draft nights, when it's red versus blue, every time they push this narrative, the idea is that SmackDown and Raw are at war with each other. So I've never understood why Raw will do SmackDown recaps and SmackDown will do Raw recaps. I don't get that whatsoever. And even more, we could have easily done without that Adam Pearce recap. We did not need that. AJ Styles did a pretty good job of explaining what happened already in his segment. So that time that you wasted on that recap, we could have easily given that to Mustafa Ali. AJ Styles versus Drew Gulak. I like it, no complaints. Like I said in the very first speed check, it's Royal Rumble season, so of course everybody has to get thrown over the top rope because this is the very first Royal Rumble and you're too stupid to understand how the Royal Rumble works. I don't know if WWE hired Quentin Tarantino solely to shoot for Omos, but this is the 2nd week in a row where they have gotten a really good shot of him using his feet. So rather than give Mustafa Ali the time for a promo, or rather than give AJ Styles and Drew Gulak time for a good match, instead, we have to revisit the career of Goldberg. Every single time I manage to forget about the legends watching this show, they just drag them back to the surface. And usually I'm the one that's kicking and screaming. You know what? Since WWE wants to go back and look at Goldberg's career, let's do that. Let's look at Goldberg's career. First of all, I skipped this stupid recap because there is nothing in that recap that makes Goldberg worth watching in 2021, let alone 2020, let alone 2019. There is nothing Goldberg has that is worth watching today. Now, that said, let's look back at his career. Let's remember that he kicked Bret Hart squarely in the face full force and ended his career. Let's remember that. Let's remember that he headbutted a door and gave himself a concussion for no reason. And while we're at it, let's remember that this man has made a living. He's made a career out of wrestling 4-minute matches. I try my hardest not to speak negatively about people on this channel. I know I critique people, but that's not me critiquing even the person. I'm critiquing the character, or I'm critiquing the booking. I have never said anything except about Nia Jax because she is unsafe. I have never said anything about a person personally because I don't know them. That said, Goldberg is a negative impact on professional wrestling. He contributes nothing. He contributes absolutely nothing to professional wrestling. He only shows up and he takes time and spotlight away from younger talent, and he takes away momentum, as we've seen with The Fiend. And speaking of unsafe workers, Shayna Baszler has proved to me she is the best professional wrestler in the history of wrestling, because she saw Nia Jax going to the second rope and her Shayna sense was tingling. She knew that was going to end in a botch somehow, some way, and rather than watch Mandy Rose's life end before her very eyes, she tagged herself in. That was a shoot tag. You can tell that was not planned. She shoot tagged herself in. She applied her submission hold. She had the match end clean and fast before Nia Jax could put Mandy Rose in a body cast for the rest of her life. And for that, I say thank you. If you guys didn't remember, Triple H actually did not wrestle any matches during 2020, and that is the first time he's done so since he signed with WWE in 1995. During that time, he clearly forgot how to spit out water, because what we just saw was an old man dribbling, and not the Sheamus kind. As funny as it is that he threw that open water bottle at the commentary team, Hunter better be careful. If he hits one of those LED screens, then the Thunderdome becomes the Fire Dome. If you happen to notice anything that was funny or stupid, anything at all that happened during Randy Orton's entrance, please let me know in the comments, because I skipped the entire thing. I've already given an hour of my life last week to watching Roman Reigns crawl at the speed of a turtle to the ring. I refuse to give WWE any more time for slow entrances. I don't have that kind of time. Not anymore for WWE. I will give WWE some credit. They had so much of Randy Orton and Triple H in this show, way too much Triple H and Randy Orton, that I forgot Alexa Bliss was even a factor. They mentioned her once during the show earlier, and I completely forgot about her because there was just way too much Randy Orton and Triple H for this episode. So kudos on them for making. I didn't see this coming. I didn't even think this could happen. I thought they were going to have a match where Randy Orton ended up punting Triple H. A fireball to the eye. Okay. I liked it. That was a very nice way to end the show. I give them props. Alexa is doing a wonderful job with her character right now. And that's it for this episode of Monday Night Raw. An episode that honestly, it could have been great. It could have been a great episode, but unfortunately, it's still riddled, no pun intended, with plenty of problems that have plagued Raw for a long time, such as giving older stars too much screen time, focusing too much on legends. But I'll give them some credit, because when they did focus on current day stars, they actually built them up pretty strong, like the case of Lashley and Keith Lee. So it's somewhere in the middle. You look at the speedometer, and honestly, this show never really broke out in full speed. It was like it was following some imaginary speed limit. It was just going at a very leisurely pace. But you know what? Even that pace is still faster and better than what we got last week. So kudos. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Speed Check. I've been Eric from West Coast Popcast. I will definitely have a SmackDown episode for you guys. I just don't know if the AEW episode is going to happen. We will see what happens. Keep an eye out for that. If it does come out, it will be on Thursday. The SmackDown Speed Check will be on Saturday. Thank you guys for watching. Have a beautiful night. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful whatever. And stay safe out there.